Christopher Nolan said that the sleep schedule he had as a university student inspired his film Inception. The school provided free breakfast until 9 a.m., and to not miss this opportunity, Nolan would often go to bed late and wake up early. Later, he would fall back asleep and experience lucid dreams, meaning he was aware that he was dreaming. Nolan described this as a kind of superpower and said he experimented with trying to control his dreams. These experiences, along with inspiration from the 17th century Spanish playwright Pedro Calderón de la Barca's play La vida es sueño, Life is a Dream, became the foundation of the film. Nolan first pitched the idea of Inception to Warner Bros. After finishing Insomnia in 2002, and the studio approved the project. However, the script hadn't been written yet. Nolan didn't want to write it like a school assignment. Instead, he chose to shape it as a speculation-filled piece that matched his own creative process. He initially thought writing it would take a few months, but the process ended up taking almost 8 years. Nolan wrote the roles of the film's characters based on filmmaking positions. Cobb is the director, Arthur is the producer, Ariadne is the production designer, Eames is the actor, Saito is the studio, and Fisher represents the audience. Nolan said, "While writing a creative process based on a team, I was reflecting the process I know, highlighting how the dynamics of filmmaking shaped the characters." Before the film's release, Nolan placed high importance on secrecy. He took strict precautions to prevent script leaks. When Leonardo DiCaprio signed on, very few people had read the full script. Actors and crew had to go into a special room to read it, and were not allowed to leave until they had finished. Special effects supervisor Chris Korb said, "You enter, they lock the door, and tell you to call them when you're done." After DiCaprio accepted the role, Nolan worked on the script for months. He said DiCaprio made significant contributions and pushed him to ensure the film remained coherent, internally consistent, and true to its characters. Nolan's wife and producer partner Emma Thomas said DiCaprio's input helped transform Inception from a puzzle into an emotional character story that audiences could connect with. Despite its surreal sequences, Inception relied heavily on practical effects rather than CGI. For example, the Penrose stairs, rotating hallways, avalanche, and zero-gravity scenes were all filmed physically, not digitally. While most big-budget films use around 2,000 VFX shots, Inception only used about 500. In the dream sequence, where Leonardo DiCaprio and Ellen Page are sitting at a cafe, the tension builds as the buildings around them begin to explode. Nolan wanted the actors present for the scene, so Chris Korb designed an air cannon system that could safely launch debris and simulate an explosion. Most of the effect was done live, with digital enhancements added later for visual polish. One of the film's most intense scenes is when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character fights two attackers in a rotating hallway under zero gravity. The team built a full-size corridor set inside a giant centrifuge that could rotate 360 degrees. While the set turned, the actors ran along walls and ceilings, performing fight choreography. The camera was fixed to the set to create the illusion of changing gravity. Gordon-Levitt said this was the most physically demanding sequence, and that he trained for 2 weeks to do most of the action himself. The scene where Cillian Murphy's character Robert Fisher realizes he's in a dream was also created using practical effects. Objects in the bar begin to tilt at strange angles. Nolan wanted this effect to feel real, so the bar set was built on a platform that could tilt 25 degrees in either direction. To maintain a consistent visual perspective, cameras were fixed to the set. About 1/3 of the background actors were eliminated during auditions because they couldn't stay balanced as the floor shifted. The Penrose stairs scene, where Arthur shows Ariadne, a woman endlessly picking up paper, references the famous lithograph by Dutch graphic artist M.C. Escher, often called Ascending and Descending, or The Impossible Staircase. The print was first published in 1960. Escher is known for his fantastic architecture blended with optical illusions and mathematical principles. One of the film's most striking scenes features a freight train speeding through a city street. Since there were no tracks on the road, the team created the effect practically. Nolan believed it was important to show that Cobb's subconscious could bring dangerous elements into dreams. The team bought a semi-truck and built a shell around it from plywood, plexiglass, and steel to mimic a freight train. The front portion alone weighed about 1.5 tons, allowing it to crash through cars realistically. Toward the end of the film, the scene where Cobb and his team are inside a van falling off a bridge into water was also done with practical effects. Instead of just dropping the van, they designed a system to control its movement and descent. Using a massive air cannon, they launched the van and managed the speed and impact during the dive. Actor Dileep Rao said it took a month to film this scene, and the team returned repeatedly while filming other scenes in between. The snowy mountain action scene presented another challenge. As the shoot date approached, there was no snow on location. Cinematographer Wally Pfister said the crew had a tense few months hoping for snow. While the art department sent photos of the muddy slope, the crew was preparing to use fake snow and digital effects. Then, just a week before filming, Calgary was hit with its biggest snowstorm in a decade. This unexpected weather gave the team more snow than they hoped for and allowed the scene to be filmed on real snow, making it far more impactful. The snowy, three-layer dream sequence in Inception was inspired by Nolan's favorite James Bond film, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. During the snowmobile chase, a camera helicopter was used to maintain visual consistency and simulate wind when there was none naturally. The film's soundtrack also contains notable details. Edith Piaf's song, Non, je ne regrette rien, plays a critical role in the plot. Marion Cotillard, who played Mal, had portrayed Piaf in La Vie en Rose. Nolan said this was purely a coincidence. After casting Cotillard, he considered changing the song to avoid speculation, but composer Hans Zimmer convinced him to keep it. The music is perceived as slowed down when heard in a dream, so the film's main theme is actually based on a slowed-down version of that Piaf song. This detail is thematically wrapped up when the song plays over the ending credits, symbolizing the audience waking up from the film. The name of the character, Ariadne, comes from Greek mythology. In the myth of Theseus and the Minotaur, Ariadne helps Theseus navigate the labyrinth with a sword and a ball of thread. In the film, Ariadne is the architect who designs the dream labyrinths and helps the team find shortcuts through the dreamscapes. When you combine the first letters of the main characters' names, Dom, Robert, Eames, Arthur, Mal, and Saito, it spells out D-R-E-A-M-S. If you add Peter, Ariadne, and Yusuf, it spells Dreams Pay, symbolizing the idea of mind theft and planting. In Inception, Arthur tells Saito not to think of elephants. This is a reference to George Lakoff's book, Don't Think of an Elephant, which discusses the idea of conceptual framing. How specific words can subconsciously influence thought. For example, the phrase tax relief subtly implies that taxes are inherently bad. The 50 years Cobb and Mal spent in limbo reflect the film's time dilation logic. Each dream level expands time by about 18 times. For example, 10 seconds in the first dream level equals 3 minutes in the next, then 60 minutes in the third. Cobb's 50 years in limbo equate to about 10 to 11 hours of real-world sleep, which matches the duration of their flight to Los Angeles, and explains why Cobb appears as an old man in limbo. The film's ambiguous ending remains one of its most debated topics. Did Cobb truly reunite with his children, or was it still a dream? While Nolan has said the ending is open to interpretation, he did mention that Cobb no longer cares if it's a dream, as long as he's with his kids. The reason the top's final spin is not shown is because Cobb no longer needs to check. Despite the ambiguity, actor Sir Michael Caine gave a clue in a 2018 speech. He said Nolan told him, "If you're in the scene, it's reality. If you're not, it's a dream." Since Caine appears in the final scene, it suggests the ending is real, and Cobb is no longer dreaming. Despite Inception's complex and technically demanding production, Christopher Nolan completed the film ahead of schedule and under its $160 million budget. He's known for efficient budgeting, having delivered other large projects like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises on time and under budget. Inception was also a major turning point in Leonardo DiCaprio's career. After Titanic, it became his second highest grossing film worldwide. DiCaprio earned $59 million from the film, making him one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood at the time. This success further proved both Nolan's directing skills and DiCaprio's acting talent. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take care.